And now we are looking at the ultimate goal for everybody, quality. So projects is a triangle between scope, cost, time, which should assure the quality. So Richard, again, how do you manage the quality, starting from specs, execution and acceptance? What is your approach on that?
Well, first of all, if we look at the triangle, as a client, I want all of those.
That's not possible.
I know, because if you want cost and quality, you're going to get something that's good and cheap. If you want cost and time on your project, you're going to get fast and cheap and poor quality. And that goes the same for quality and time. For us in this ecosystem, cost is a big driver, and definitely quality. So we're tending towards that side. Projects being fast-tracked, we find there's risk involved in that. We need to take our time a little bit more as the end user. So we would focus on quality and cost, and we would make sure that our solution provider is clear on how to gauge and measure that quality on a solution that we require. But in saying that, if I look at containerized solutions, yes, your manufacturing, your testing that you mentioned before in your opening slides is longer. It takes more time. But where the saving we're seeing is the installation time on site, your commissioning on site. Because now we're commissioning in a controlled environment. We're not on site.
Correct.
So I think as an end user, the overall time of the solution would be less than doing this all on site and fault finding on site. So I think maybe I could get very close to all the triangles.
I think substations can provide all three of them.
Yes.
Because initially, we require more cost than just a concrete building. We require more time before we go to site, and we can manage quality way better because everything can be tested before going to site with all the relevant people, stakeholders being present there.
Absolutely.
However, you recover on time and cost on site. So if you look at the overall schedule, I think this is the whole purpose for having these kind of substations.
Exactly.
Yeah, and I think if it's managed possible, I fully agree on your time saving. What we try and do from a system integrated approach is a sort of plug and play approach. So that means all the site work that can happen, laying of field cables, all of that can be prepared. In a safe, in quality environment, everything can be prepared, fully tested, and then it's literally pick up the module, drop it, and plug and play.
Yes.
Which means if you do that right and you strategize about how to do that, you can have massive savings in time as well, and also quality control and cost. But sometimes it's difficult, I think, for some parties to see that benefit because they may have a low-cost civil contractor on site. Where all of a sudden they think, these people, they cost extremely low rates per hour. So the mindset is immediately, it's cheaper, let me build a concrete building. But for anyone who's ever done this on a site, you will know that the effective tool time on site is extremely low. Safety incidents, production managers, you have to deal with everyone. So although I think it's a mindset feeling that this takes more time and more cost, I think it's counterintuitive when you look at the big picture.
And one is missing here, that's flexibility. It's also reflected in quality. So with these steel structured substations, you can way later in the process make changes in the structure or the design of the building than you could do with a civil contractor who poured the concrete with 20 centimeter thick walls. And then if the door had to be shifted like 20 centimeters, you're stuck.
Go try and install an MCT frame on site and do it in our fabrication yard. Massive difference in time.
This flexibility is something that's often not considered in the initial evaluation between the two, but is definitely a major, and I think you as an EPC.
Yeah, it's always a tricky one. You cannot fit them all, but I would say it depends on the nature of the project. If it's a cost-driven project, you should have some flexibility on the schedule, and vice versa. If it's a schedule-driven project, of course, the client needs to pay a little bit more. So it depends on the nature of the project. This is the first thing. But also, as yours also mentioned, that strong collaboration between all parties is key, because you need to have, as an EPC, you need to be a little bit flexible in the design to optimize the design. So know what is the difference between what is mandatory and what is good to have. Okay, optimizing the space especially is very important. Every square inch you save on the footprint of the e-house saves costs and schedule. So and also having a good or a mature design at the beginning of the project helps all the parties to do its job in a very good manner. So it's a tricky one, but in the end, you need to know what is the project requirements, what is the key focus of the project, and then based on that, you decide the which way forward you can choose.
Just to link on that, that's why it's also very critical in that communication to share specifically with us as OEMs and system integrators is what is the key driver of the project.
Yes.
Very often we have projects that are very cost driven. This is known by the client. It's known by the
always cost driven, right?
Sometimes
not necessarily, but some projects are schedule driven. Schedule is the key, and I'm flexible to pay an extra pennies in order to get this work.
I have the perfect example. We had a client that just pulled a specification out of the table, threw it on the table for a building, but was open with us in sharing that cost is critical. So we looked at the specification. We realized this is for an offshore installation where the lifetime of the platform is 7 or 8 years. We look at the specification, it's all 30 years gold plated.
Yeah.
So then we can have a discussion. We understand that cost is your big driver.
Yes.
So why are you doing this? And then you have that discussion to say, okay, look, can we deal with this differently? But if that information is not shared with us, then we're hunting in the dark.
Yeah.
And that's why, once again, that open communication really helps us.
Upfront, correct?
Absolutely.